When it comes to rom-coms, I've always been a massive fan of the childhood friend character. I just adore them. I'm always rooting for them. I like that kind of pre-established comfort level they have with the main character, that kind of stuff. It always works for me. But yes, unfortunately, with that love comes the disappointment because in the end, they always lose. They're always losing in the end. It's like such a joke in the realm of rom-coms that they have titles like rom-com where a childhood friend won't lose. Like there's a joke around that idea. And yes, technically, with Winter 2026, we have a new show called You Can't Be in a Rom-Com with Your Childhood Friends. Another show that kind of playing off that joke there. But yes, I watched the first 2 episodes of the show, and yes, a lot of people out there might be saying, Andrew, this sounds like it's right up your wheelhouse. I mean, you have the idea of nothing but childhood friends. It's a rom-com. It's got goofy shenanigans, the ecchi and all that kind of stuff. Well, unfortunately, it's kind of playing too heavily on the tropes, and that's technically for a reason, but it's also not really helping it out as well. But before I get too much in that stuff, let's get into what exactly this show is about. It opens up with a guy named Ayu, and Ayu is a massive fan of rom-coms. He's constantly reading the books, he's constantly digging into them, loves them. But yes, he acknowledges that they're fiction. This is stuff that doesn't really happen in the real world. Yeah, now he's about to experience it though because his friend, Shio, who lives right next door, sneaks into his bedroom constantly at night to read those same books because she, as a childhood friend, is trying to get his attention, trying to get his love. And since he really likes those books, she figures, hey, if I can play out what's in those books, he'll finally acknowledge me. So yes, you have her sneaking into his bed and embracing him so that he wakes up with her. Or yes, her sneaking out the window and having the wind blow up her skirt. Her doing a fake fall down to pull him down onto her so that he gets a nice boob grab. That kind of stuff. But every single time, he just ignores it. Which is odd. Again, this is a guy that really wants these rom-coms and she's literally playing out the tropes. Why won't he acknowledge her and accept that? Well, that's mainly around the idea that he believes that she wants to stay as a childhood friend. So he's constantly telling himself in his mind, yeah, she's not actually into me. This can't actually happen. If I show that I'm absolutely perving out inside, she might be disgusted by that and run away. So it's a constant back and forth between the two of them of ever kind of finally, embracing each other as a couple. Now, yes, there's another childhood friend, and that is Akari. Now, Akari is similar to Shio in the idea that she's also trying to get Ayu's attention, constantly trying to show something to him, dress herself up, look prettier. But unlike Shio, who's constantly being kind of let down by him not acknowledging her, she instead, as a tsundere, honestly, constantly lashes back. Every time that he denies her or doesn't accept her, she gets angry instead. And this turns into the idea that Ayo just kind of believes that Akari hates him. And that's basically the gist of the story so far. Like I said before, I should really love this. I love childhood friend characters. I like the idea of Shio and Akari, these two childhood friends that have grown up with Ayu, constantly liking him and always looking up to him as a sort of, guardian in some cases. Like, there's even cases where Ayu is carrying around a med pack because Shio constantly jumps across their roofs to come to his bedroom, and she constantly gets herself hurt. So he's always ready to help her out if she gets injured. Or yes, when they're on the bus together and she's kind of messing with him with the whole motion sickness thing by rubbing his ears and him getting all flustered, he immediately stops the bus because he thinks that she has motion sickness as well, and so he wants to get her a soda pop to help with it. This is a guy that's very attentive and knows a lot about them and is constantly looking after them, but when it comes to now, when they're older, he doesn't want to accept that relationship. He doesn't think that it actually happens, and instead he constantly thinks that, oh, they're just being friendly. They're just being kind. And yes, Akari just absolutely hates me. Again, childhood friends, it should work for me, right? The problem really comes in that so far, it's just kind of devolved into a lot of skits that are playing off the jokes from rom-coms, but not necessarily doing anything to really kind of set itself aside. Yes, early on we established that Shio is literally looking at source material for rom-coms and thus wanting to utilize those tropes, but that doesn't help make the show funny. Yes, the joke is that she's using the rom-com tropes, but they're still tropes that we've seen a million times. I think the only thing that kind of gives it a little added bonus or benefit is the fact that unlike typical where it's like, oh no, you fell on me. Oh, what are you touching? Stop that. It more goes in the idea of Shio literally going, oh, here we go. Time to pull on top of me. What do you think about that? Did you get a nice faceful? The entire time Shio is literally in her mind going, how do you like that? You want some more of it? Get your face up in there. This girl's like, take it, take all that trope from me. She literally wants him to have it. That's the fun thing there. On the opposite end, Akari is more like, not that she's playing in the trope. Akari is just playing into the tropes as they're casually playing out, but she's, as a tsundere, viciously attacking him whenever things go south. It's that whole thing there. So again, I should want this, but at the same time, it's not really doing enough. Now, I will admit, for a good portion of Akari's segment, it's not necessarily like she's going out of her way in order to do the tropes, but they're still happening. But I do think that episode 2 was a little bit better than episode 1. It felt like episode 1 was like, hey, if you like rom-coms, you're going to like the story. Let's do the tropes. Episode 2 felt a little bit more casual about it. But again, it's still kind of hampered by it. It's still overall hampered by it. I don't want to say this because I really feel like this is kind of the new society of AI that's really kind of playing into my brain. But I almost feel like if you told an AI, make 5 situations that are involving a rom-com trope, they would segment like this. Because it feels very segmented, and here's the next joke, here's the next joke, here's the next joke, here's the next joke. And they're all jokes you've seen before because I'm an AI trained off of these jokes that everybody uses all the time. It almost feels like that. That aside, I won't say that I've been without like some humor in this show so far. I think like my favorite part was definitely like the double lap scene. There's this whole segment where Shio literally sits down on his lap and says that she wants to study off his notes. And so she sits down on his lap in the classroom and everybody's freaking out. And she's just trying to rub her butt on his lap while she's taking the notes and trying to get him worked up. And the entire time he's just trying to ignore it as much as possible. But then suddenly Akari gets jealous. And so she wants to join in. So she sits down on one of his legs and she starts going at it too. So you have these two girls that are just absolutely going at it on his lap while everybody's super jealous of it. It was a good laugh, but I think my favorite part so far was definitely the wordplay. For those who don't know, there's a wordplay thing where the last part of every word, the next person has to do that as the first part of the next word. So if it is, AU, you would have to do you something. And what happens is at some point, AU went up and he accidentally said Shio's name instead of an actual word. And so while that would be, disqualify him, what that ended up doing is working up Akari because she wanted AU to say her name. So it turns this whole thing where every time Akari comes up for the next person to say a word, she would end it with something with at the end of it, just to force AU to have to say Akari. But she just keeps saying something else. And then every time it come back to her, she would end it with And every time she ended her words, she'd always emphasize the just to make sure that he knew I'm ending this word with so you better say Akari. And he keeps saying something else and it keeps coming back around. I thought it was a huge kick. I absolutely loved it. And thank you to the subtitling for not, trying to turn it into something else. They kind of just kept it, but with translations, you have to kind of hear it to understand what they're doing, unfortunately, but I knew, and so I got a huge kick out of it. I just thought it was super cute because she's getting super frustrated over here. She's wanting so badly for him to say, Akari, say Akari, damn it. It was so great. That all aside, though, I think it did a good job with these first 2 episodes of establishing Shio's desire to get his attention, Akari's desire to get his attention, the frustration that Akari has, the fact that she is a tsundere, and so she doesn't know why she keeps outbursting. I'll be curious if they'll ever really do anything with her like they usually do with, tsundere characters where they really kind of dig into what a tsundere is. So far, all they've done with her is really kind of emphasize the idea that it's a frustration. She hates the fact that he won't acknowledge her. Again, unlike Shio, which is disappointment in his not acknowledging her, she turns it to anger. She's upset at it. It pisses her off, really, is what it is. It really pisses her off. So she gets really angry. I do know that we have 2 other characters. One of them is Haru, and that was the one from the PV and the OP that I really wanted to see, which is the, Tan Girl, Best Girl. I'm really curious to see if the other 2 female characters will end up being childhood friends too, that have just been like long distant, or if they will be just straight up love interests that will kind of come in between Shio and Akari with AU. I'll be curious. I kind of really like Haru's character design, so I'm hoping that she will be a childhood friend too, and that we'll actually get a rom-com with her. But either way, I will say for fans of ecchi and stuff like that, it's okay. Like, you have at least, 2 Pantsu shots an episode. It's not like it's going out of its way in order to kind of do that stuff, but it is there. So if that's something you're looking for, you might have something here. Honestly, don't think it really does too much there that I wouldn't even call this show an ecchi show overall. It's just one of those things where it kind of just happens. Yeah, Akari, for some reason, when she's going home from school and the rain hits she goes to a nearby shrine where she literally just pulls down her pantyhose in front of like the world. And he just happens to walk by at that same exact time, and she falls over and he gets another Kuma Bear Ponsu shot. Like it's so like absurd whenever it happens, but it kind of just happens, and it's not like too much of a focus of the overall show, but it is there. Overall visually it's okay. It's got a very interesting style to it compared to, I think, with the manga, but it works. It's not like my favorite styling, but at the same time, it does enough to kind of keep things going. The girls look cute. That's enough for me. But anyhow, that's my thoughts overall. I'm not like too super sold on the show. I think it just plays too heavily on the tropes. It's too segmented with little joke segments that are very kind of your usual for rom-coms. Hopefully, eventually, it kind of breaks out from that stuff. Hopefully, eventually, it starts to kind of develop things. Hopefully, again, we get Tangirl, best girl in this show, and hopefully her dynamic with him is a little bit better. But I do believe that if it keeps to the status quo of constantly them pursuing AU and him constantly saying there are definitely childhood friends and it can't happen, it's going to get old after a while. If I get 12 episodes of this, I'm going to get so bored so quick. But we'll see. That's my thoughts so far on you can't be in a rom-com with your childhood friends. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as always. Hope you found it informative. If you did, hit the like button down below. If you like this content and you want to support the channel more, become a member. Until next time, y'all take care.